We have 6 teams on bye, so we have to make sure to get the right guys off of waivers while balancing it out with stashes for later on in the year. Let's get into Week 7's top waiver wire ads. Our number 1 waiver wire ad this week is Elijah Mitchell. Do we know for sure that Christian McCaffrey is missing this week? No. Do we know for sure that it'll be Elijah Mitchell getting the bulk of the work and not Jordan Mason? No. But we do have reason to believe it'll be him. So when asked about this running back situation after that game, 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan said that Mitchell didn't practice until later in the week last week, and that's why Mason was the one getting the work once McCaffrey left the game. They love Mitchell. He mixed in before McCaffrey got hurt on Sunday, so I'm grabbing him in case they shut down CMC for the 2 games before their Week 9 bye. But no, I'm not breaking the bank for Mitchell, given we still don't know whether McCaffrey will miss time. My number 2 waiver wire pickup this week is Michael Mayer. Mayer was an extremely productive tight end and a very good prospect coming into the NFL, and he's now moving ahead of Austin Hooper. It started in Week 5 when it was a 50-50 split in route participation between these 2 tight ends, and he took a clear lead this past week. He ran 22 routes to only 9 for Hooper. That gives him a solid 67% route participation. Definitely something to build on, but his 27% targets per route run in Week 6 makes him start worthy already. So if you're in need of a tight end, he should be near the top of your list this week. We have Curtis Samuel at number 3. Someone please tell me why Curtis Samuel has been the best fantasy wide receiver on the Commanders when they have Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, right? At this point, we're going to take it on the chin. Let's get with the program. Samuel has had 3 top 20 PPR finishes at the wide receiver position over the last 3 weeks. So if you need someone to plug in right away, he's the top wide receiver ad for the week. Not too far behind at number 4, we have Josh Downs. He had 8 targets and a touchdown last week after a 97-yard receiving performance the week before in Week 5. He has a tough matchup this week against Cleveland, but Gardner Minshew is looking his way. It's looking more and more likely that Anthony Richardson is out for the year, so I'm expecting Downs to provide PPR flex value at the very least moving forward with wide receiver 3 upside the rest of the way. At number 5, we have Rashee Rice. He still doesn't have a full-time role, but he's making the most of his opportunities. According to Fantasy Life's utilization tool, his route participation popped back up to 50%. Obviously still not a full-time role, still not enough to really depend on, but he's had 4 top 36 finishes this season regardless with that part-time role, given the fact that he's been targeted on 30% of his routes run. That's how he's been able to get it done. So he has a lot of room to grow. So if he's on the field more, if his role starts to grow at some point, he has a ton of upside, potentially turning into Patrick Mahomes' number 1 wide receiver outside of Travis Kelce, of course. At number 6 is Kareem Hunt. This was a 3-man backfield before their bye, but it quickly turned into a 2-man backfield with Hunt getting a solid share of the running back opportunities. Jerome Ford was still the lead back, but the 56% to 44% opportunity split between these two isn't wide at all, especially considering the fact that Hunt is looking like the primary short yardage back at this point. But Hunt should offer flex value moving forward, and you can plug him into your running back spot if you're hurting at the position. At number 7, we have Zach Evans. Evans hasn't had a touch all year until this past week, but both Kyren Williams and Ronnie Rivers are expected to miss this week. Rivers should be out several weeks with a PCL injury, so Evans has a chance to back up Kyren Williams for the foreseeable future. But with Kyren dealing with what seems like a normal ankle sprain, not a high ankle, hopefully, Evans is looking like a solid 1-week rental on a very productive offense. Now, keep in mind, this is Sean McVay. Royce Freeman will also likely be called up from the Rams practice squad. So with Sean McVay, you never know where this will go. But I think our best guess at this situation is looking like Evans is going to be the guy this week. At number 8, we have Tyjae Spears. He would probably be higher on this list if he wasn't on a bye this week. You can plug him in for the rest of the year in your flex or in your RB2 spot when you're needy and you're hurting at running back. But he's someone who's worth having on your bench at the very least. He's been one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL behind Derrick Henry, which makes him a premier 3-down handcuff with some standalone value as well. He's been on the field for 51% of snaps so far this year. And on top of that, he's been a top 30 fantasy running back for the year so far, playing behind Derrick Henry. Pretty good stuff. If you're not subscribed to our podcast on your podcast app, or you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe if you can. It would just help us out a ton. It would really mean a lot. So we'd appreciate you guys. Back to number 9, Jameson Williams. Williams had 2 catches this past week, one going for a long key touchdown in this game. We don't know what kind of role he's going to play for the Lions the rest of the year. It's an extremely part-time role right now, given the fact that he only ran around on 19% of Jared Goff's dropbacks. This is a long-term stash for me, but because of his big playability, you can throw him in your flex hoping for that long touchdown. But just understand that in his current role, he has a weekly floor of 0 fantasy points. At 10, I have Jonnu Smith. The Falcons run a ton of 2 tight end sets, but he's also splitting time with Kyle Pitts as well. Neither are getting an elite route participation. Both are hovering around 60 to 65% over the last couple of weeks, which isn't ideal, but the silver lining is that both of these guys have been getting it done lately. Jonnu's had 3 straight top 10 tight end finishes. He's had a high floor even before that, so if you need a plug and play and he's available, he's your top choice. Between him and Michael Mayer, Jonnu's probably someone you can depend on a little bit more in the short term, but overall, I think Mayer is the guy I want on my squad. He's a long-term upside add who you can still plug in this week if you want. At 11, we have Keontay Ingram. He was the lead back for the Cardinals, but this backfield was a little bit messy this past week. Damian Williams had 9 opportunities behind Ingram, and, Amari DeMarcado outsnapped both as the passing down back, given Arizona was playing catch-up in the second half. So if you're really hurting at running back, I think Ingram is in play in a solid matchup against Seattle this week. At 12, we have Jordan Mason. He could get some run behind Elijah Mitchell. He also could be the lead back. There is some ambiguity here, given the fact that Mitchell is coming off the injury, and Mason has been running really well behind McCaffrey while Mitchell was banged up, right? There is a chance that Mason just sticks to special teams. If Mitchell's good to go this week, he happens to shine on special teams. That's where his real role is at this point. So, he's a boom bust pickup in case McCaffrey misses the next 2 weeks. At 13, I have Luke Musgrave. He's flying under the radar a bit. He had the concussion in week 4, cleared for week 5, and then he saw a very healthy 25% target share in week 5 before he went on bye. And so because of all of that, the moving pieces, he's not rostered in a ton of leagues, and he should be. You don't have tight ends getting this type of target share. Often this can stick. He's been involved from the jump. He's had 80% plus route participation in his first 3 games before suffering the concussion in week 4. So there is some upside here rest of season for Musgrave. At number 13, we have Salvon Ahmed. This Dolphins running game is on fire. So if he's the number 2, there's a good chance he can just fall into fantasy points. Okay, there is a solid chance that Jeff Wilson is back this week, but I want to pick up Ahmed just in case Wilson isn't back. Okay, if Jeff Wilson is available on your waiver wire, I would check to see if he is. He would be the top pickup on this entire list if that's the case. But he was dealing with the rib injury. Just in case Wilson isn't back, I'd want to pick up Ahmed, right? It's not the best matchup against the Eagles this week, but I'll take my chances with the Dolphins offense. I'll take my chances with this backfield just winning every single week. Okay, so check to see if he is available. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is at 15. I know it's been disappointing, but we have some glimmer of hope here for JSN. Here's why he should continue to be stashed, okay? The Seahawks transitioned to mainly 3 wide receiver sets coming out of their bye. What does that mean? It means that JSN ran the same number of routes as Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Before the bye, he had a 24% target share and a very healthy 75% route participation. So things are trending in the right direction for him. We've gotten spoiled with rookie wide receivers breaking out really early, but typically rookie wide receivers, if they're going to break out their first year, it's usually in the second half of their rookie season. So there's still a chance for that to happen, for who could still be the best wide receiver in this incoming draft class. So if you have the room, I continue to keep him stashed for the second half of the year. I have Latavius Murray at 16. Now, I know the Bills brought in Leonard Fournette for a workout, and he should be rostered as well. But as of me recording this video, he hasn't signed yet. So Murray is the guy behind James Cook while Damian Harris gets right. By the way, things are looking solid for Harris after that scary injury that forced him to leave the field in an ambulance. He is in concussion protocol, but it looks like he'll be all right. So that's good news. But for now, I think Murray could end up being the primary goal line running back for a good offense, and that's worth something. He's the oldest running back in the league, but he still has something to offer. I have another Buffalo Bill at 17, and that's Dalton Kincaid. He's more of a stash for me at this point. His route participation has been all over the place, but we did see it go all the way to 79% in week 4 before he suffered a concussion in week 5. That forced him to miss week 6. It is possible that he's back this week. I'm not sure I trust him in my lineup, but I think he's more of a bench stash for me right now because fantasy managers are just dropping him. You know, there is a chance that he has a later than expected breakout, right? He's a good player. He's on a good offense. Man, like our expectations for rookie tight ends have increased so much this year. Like we went from completely avoiding them to wanting them to completely break out in the first 6 weeks of their rookie year. So let's give Kincaid a little bit of time. He was, you know, a lot of people's top tight end going into this year, rookie tight ends, I should say, you know, so let's give him a little bit of time. He should be all right. We have 3 running backs to close out the top 20, Justice Hill, Craig Reynolds, and Devin Singletary. Justice Hill is probably the best combination of short-term and long-term if that's what you're looking for. He's splitting work with Gus Edwards. He's the guy who's being used in the receiving game. Singletary's on bye, so he might be last on your priority list if you need a running back right now. However, he's the guy I am grabbing right behind Justice Hill as the second best long-term option after him. So Dameon Pierce and Singletary split work. You know, based on their head coach's comments about what he saw after this game, it seemed like this committee isn't going anywhere, okay? Houston also has some great matchups for running backs after the bye, so that's something to keep in mind. With David Montgomery out for the Lions for the next couple of games potentially, Craig Reynolds could see some work, but how much work would depend on whether Jahmyr Gibbs is back this week. Their head coach, Dan Campbell, did say that Gibbs is trending in the right direction to play, which would mean that Reynolds might not see a whole lot of work. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he's the one who saw goal line carries in Gibbs' first week back. There's also a chance that Gibbs is not able to return this week. Okay, so it is worth rostering Reynolds until we see Gibbs potentially get some full practices in. If you want our full waiver wire rankings, waiver wire articles, weekly rankings, our daily free newsletter straight to your inbox every single day, and a lot more, check out upperhandfantasy.com. Thanks so much for your time and good luck on waivers.